Alright, what's going on? I'm back with another replay. This is actually a re-upload, and I want to give a quick thank you to Zasco on YouTube for commenting. You know, sometimes I go on autopilot when I'm uploading these videos and just throw a title on there and whatnot, but I didn't realize I was having a mic issue for the first time. I'm not quite sure what caused it, but I tested it before this, so I know it's working now. So anyways, playing as the High Elves and going to be facing up against the Vampire Counts on Broken Leg Gully. And coming into this, I was really looking to get some good anti-infantry pieces along with a few troops to pick off single entities. So what I've got is spearmen in the front line, 2 squads of spearmen, 3 squads of rangers. They've got anti-infantry, not armor piercing, but I figure that's not too necessary against the Vampire Counts, given the skeleton warriors and the zombies that are generally going to be seen. Got 2 squads of shadow walkers. They've got poisonous missiles, and then they've also got good melee stats, including the anti-infantry. War Lions of Crace, they are anti-infantry and they've got armor piercing, so I can deal with units like grave guards with them. Mage of Fire, fire is pretty standard against undead factions because if I believe that fire damage is amplified against undead units that have regeneration, which is a lot of them. So I think you usually see fire casters when someone's facing Tomb Kings or Vampire Coast or Vampire Counts. That's my understanding of it. And then I also brought Tyrion as my lord. So for my opponent, they've got a lot of zombies, including the Regiments of Renown squad. They've got a lot of skeleton warriors, some skeleton spearmen as well. They've got their Regiments of Renown, Königstein stalkers, and then they've also got, I believe, Grave Guard, the Sternsmen, which is Regiments of Renown Grave Guard, Corpse Cart over here, summoning 2 necromancers in, and they've got Mannfred von Carstein on a flying mount. I believe he just used he used a Forbidden Rod, which takes some health away from the caster, but it increases Winds of Magic regeneration. So I'm going to speed this up on the approach because the Vampire Counts do not have range fire, and I don't have any artillery, so nothing much is going to happen here. A little bit of shooting going in from the Shadow Walkers onto Mannfred. Bringing in a Flamespire Phoenix to reinforce, again, fire damage. And this unit has a bombardment ability. This is something that will be something I'll have to play around more with as far as remembering to micro and use that ability. I think it could be pretty useful against this Vampire Count faction. You'll see that I don't use it too much during this match. I might only use it one time, if at all, because I was kind of having a little bit of trouble keeping an eye on everything that this guy's doing. You can see he comes in with a pretty high model count. But anyways, let's get into this. So, posting up on point 2 and point 1, he's charging in with some Black Knights, and that was a good lesson for me as far as seeing if you send units to a point to sit by themselves, you want to be aware that there's a potential for your opponent to use some kind of fast troops to deal with them. And the only fast troops that they're going to have is really some kind of weak flying unit or some heavy cavalry from the Vampire Counts. So in hindsight, I probably want to have a spear unit up here instead of rangers. Either way, Burning Head going down, catching a lot of my guys. I don't know if it was the angle that I cast that out, but that was a horrible Burning Head. I got a good bit of their troops, but probably just as much damage on my spearmen as I did on the rest of them. And luckily didn't hit this squad. Rangers coming in to reinforce. Vargeist jumping on top of my Flamespire Phoenix. Tyrion kind of sitting here for the moment. Didn't really have a target picked out with him. There were not too many good targets for Tyrion throughout this match, especially in the beginning. Mannfred's flying around. You can see he's dropping the Winds of Death, dealing pretty good damage to the Rangers and the Spearmen. And he's charging downhill. He's got a zombie summon on top of some of my Shadow Walkers. Mage of Fire going into support. Grave Guard coming downhill with the Corpse Cart to reinforce, and he's just sitting some skeleton spears up there on the hillside. So I brought the War Lions of Crace in to support these Rangers, but they ended up getting chased off. I was looking to get some armor-piercing damage because I knew that the Rangers were going to get shredded by these cavalry, but they ended up just getting chased off. So I got a squad of archers with light armor. This is a Regiments of Renown squad coming in. I brought these guys because of their flaming missiles. This is the Talons of Torquelada, I guess. And one thing that you'll see throughout this match, which is about to happen over here, Fellbats jumping on top of the Shadow Walkers along with his zombie summon. Seems like that's a lot of what he's doing with Mannfred von Carstein. Kind of flying around, casting magic in the blob fights, dropping zombie summons and whatnot, but keeping him out of any kind of really rough engagements. You can see my Flamespire Phoenix is being dealt away with by the Vargeists, and Mannfred as kind of a squad. Big burning head, charring up some zombies and skeleton warriors, but you know, realistically, not a ton of gold value worth of damage. But again, what I was saying was that you're going to see a lot of this backline pressure from Fellbats and zombie summons. The Black Knights charging downhill, coming in to support the front line, getting a big charge off of my Rangers here. The Black Knights are pretty badass. You know, I'm not even using very good graphics because my computer is somewhat old. I believe I dropped a Flamestorm over here, and that's what that is. I'm like still not too familiar with a lot of the spells, but luckily I was able to get the zombies and the Fellbats off with a supporting squad of Warlions of Crace. Winds of Death going down on them, so decent damage on that squad from Mannfred. He has now landed and has kind of joined the melee. Probably wants to keep him away from Tyrion because Tyrion is a big damage dealer, good armor piercing. Tyrion I have targeting this corpse cart. I was wanting to make sure that he was just going after any of these large entities, high value entities that were mixed in and kind of supporting the mobs. I wanted to get Tyrion on top of them. So we got these Talons of Torquelada shooting in at Mannfred, just trying to get some of that fire attack on him. The Warlions are still dealing with another zombie summon, so they're kind of going to be shutting down my shooting in the back. Black Knights recharged, kind of got out of that melee with the Rangers and are jumping on top of my Shadow Walkers. They're not going to do too well in there. Low armor, only good against infantry kind of troop. Another summon coming down. Of course, he got it perfectly timed right on top of the Silver and Guard to shut them down. I was trying to intercept the Black Knights with the Silver and Guard, but pretty good use of Mannfred by my opponent. Tyrion's going in to try to deal with those Black Knights. Dropped I believe it's called Sunfang on that front line. Let's see, where is it? There you go, Sunfang, right. So that was another part of the reason I brought Tyrion. I figured using Sunfang would be good with dealing with the chaff, I guess as they're called. Another squad of Rangers coming in to support. Looks like some wind magic coming down from my opponent. I'm gonna guess that's a Wind of Death. Yep, another one. And man, just melted those archers. They had already taken a shot from that before. They've been getting kind of picked on by some zombies, and you know, just really firm grasp on point 2 by my opponent. Excuse me for not paying too much attention up here. The Vargeists are now dealing with the Flamespire Phoenix, but finally got dealt away with by my Silver and Guard in support. So this is one thing that I've been kind of getting a little bit better with as far as microing, is this Flamespire Phoenix was getting chased down by the Vargeists and was soon to be killed. But what I did was I manually dropped him onto the ground and kind of had him sail into the Silver and Guard so that they could support. And if you're not familiar with that, that is a thing you can do. If you have a flying unit, you can manually toggle to put them on the ground so that they can be supported by non-flying entities. So, Rangers still doing their work to cut through these zombies. My Regiments of Renowned Archers got chased off. Sisters of Avalorn coming in. So another unit with flaming ammunition coming in, and probably could have set them a little bit further back and started shooting, but I wanted to kind of get them in range so they could use their ammunition effectively. That's the one thing I still haven't quite figured out, is how much distance affects accuracy. I'm not sure if there's like a solid formula that dictates that based on range or anything, but either way, high value archers shooting in. You know, just trying to get some damage in on whatever they have in here. Really just trying to accrue value wherever I can. I'm you know, almost 3,000 behind in the gold value, about 2.6k. Falling behind on the victory points. Silver and Guard posted up here on point 1 though, and my opponent is bringing in some more zombies. They got skeleton spearmen, and I believe, yep, here we go, bringing in some Rangers for support. I figured this guy was just going to be able to flank them with the numbers that he had, and so I needed to bring someone in to kind of help these Silver Guard not just get surrounded and get their leadership cracked. Mannfred going after the Flamespire Phoenix. Zombies finally being chased off, but another summon coming down, of course, on top of the Sisters of Avalorn. And so they're kind of, you know, stopped up from getting their high-value missiles out there. Rangers over here in support. Sunfang going down on the Graveguard. One thing I didn't notice, I was saying this on the last time I recorded this when my mic wasn't working, was that Sunfang does not have armor-piercing damage. So you can see it did very little damage to the Sternsman, even though, you know, it's a flame spell. So lesson learned there. Just keep an eye on the damage types of spells and use them accordingly. I think Sunfang is meant to be clearing out skeleton warriors, zombies, and things like that. Not so much heavily armored troops like Graveguard. Excuse me there, had a timer going off. Another squad of Sisters of Avalorn coming in. Just trying to get some shooting support in on the front lines. I have a decent amount of infantry, Silver Guard, Rangers, more Silver Guard, more Rangers. My major fire is getting pretty low on health, a little bit below half. But, you know, decent amount of kills, decent gold value given how many spells and whatnot I brought on them. Felbath's coming in to crash on top of these Sisters of Avalorn and support this group of zombies that are crumbling. And Warlines of Krace coming in to support them as well. Try to free them up and get some more shooting in. Another squad of Shadow Walkers coming in. Really was just trying to deal away with all these chaff infantry. I think, in hindsight, probably could have brought more low-value units. It seems that the vampire counts seem to go for very high unit card rosters, and so you gotta figure out a way to match that, because when they're getting Felbats and things like that on top of, say, Sisters of Avalorn or, say, Shadow Walkers, what's happening is a low-value unit is shutting down the effectiveness of a very high-value unit, and so if you kind of distribute your funds a little differently, you can save yourself from that trap. Tyrion fighting some Crypt Horrors, and you know, just trying to help this group of Silver Guard. Luckily, the Crypt Horrors are large, so the Silver Guard will get decent damage off on them. But of course, another squad of zombies coming in. A lot of zombies to be brought by these vampire counts. More Felbats coming in to shut down my range fire. Mannfred is on ground. He's done a pretty good job of keeping him healthy despite the shooting that I have, and you know, just chewing through these Sisters of Avalorn. With the Crypt Horrors in support, poisoning them, and the zombies locking them down, so that a lot of their damage in melee is going to be wasted on these like kind of useless chaff. Just pretty good play by my opponent. Definitely. In fact, we're getting towards the point where I can fast forward here, because I think most people watching this already understand that this is a foregone conclusion. Still about 2,000 behind in value, doubled up in victory points. Luckily, my Rangers were able to help out my Silver Guard up here, but just can't get forward progress towards this point too. You know, things would be different if I was starting to clear his troops out and really catch up on the model count on the field. That would be something different, but I really could not push him back. I think he outbuilt me as far as the roster that he brought. He outplayed me in some ways, catching out some of my units, especially the way he used his knights and his Felbats and his zombie summons and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this and save us some time. This is very much a learning lesson type of replay. And of course, Felbats jumping back on. Horde of zombies pushing back. And you can see, you know, there's just no chance. I'm even getting chased off of point 1 at this point. Black Knights coming in as support, crashing the leadership on my Rangers. Mannfred von Carstein going up to support. And this will basically be the rest of the match. I probably could have conceded way earlier. As soon as I got pushed back to about this area, I think it was about time to concede. But I was looking to do what I could and seeing if there was any way I could try to pull it back. But at that point, I figured no chance. So quick look at the unit values. Surprisingly good value on Tyrion. That's actually more than I thought. Pretty good value on the Major Fire, given how much I spent on them. Shadow Walkers did alright. I'm sure there was a resummon involved in there. Rangers didn't do great. Spearmen didn't do great. I'm starting to think that you almost, when you're looking at damage value, it's almost only worth looking at units like frontline units like Silver and Guard or like Spearmen. It's probably not even worth looking at their damage value because they're not meant to be, like value carrying units or anything like that. Even a unit like a Corpse Cart, like they're not going to be dealing big damage that you want to look at that, and you're going to get told much by those stats. But let's see. Yeah, a lot of value on those Black Knights. And I was just saying that this guy was using those pretty well. Crypt Horrors did decent. Fellbats. In this case, the Fellbats did pretty good. I'm not sure how much they cost, but the amount of shutting that they shut down is kind of like untold value in itself that you don't see on the scoreboard. But anyways, good play to my opponent. Thanks again to Zaskow for letting me know about the audio issue. And thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.